One of these teams is one of the most elite programs in college football and is going up the mountain. The other team is going down the mountain and having issues both on the field and off the field. Will the Wolverines and the Spartans meet in the middle, or will they keep going in opposite directions?
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
You can rank them wherever the hell that you want to rank them, but I believe the Michigan Wolverines are the most dominant team in college football, hands down. They have outscored their opponents by average 39.4 to 6.7. There is something to be said for how dominant Michigan has been this season, for taking teams to the woodshed like they have this season. I know the narrative is going to continue. Michigan hasn't played anybody, but they are taking Power 5 teams. They are taking Big Ten teams to the woodshed of all woodsheds right now. The big question is this week, are the Michigan State Spartans the next team to go and enter the Michigan Wolverines woodshed right now? It very well could be for the Spartans. But when I look at this Michigan State team right now, this is not a terrible football team right now. I know the results speak for themselves, and there's something to be said about that. But statistically, this is a team, when you look at total defense and offense, when you look at scoring defense and offense as well, this is a team that's middle of the road, maybe a little bit below in the Big Ten. This is a team that's improved on defense, even though they're turning the football over a lot on offense. This is a team that's at the very least okay on the offensive side of the football right now. It's those mental mistakes, it's the penalties, and dear Lord in heaven, it is the turnovers that has caused Michigan State to get where they are right now and to be in a place that's not looking very good if you're a Spartans fan. And it's the special teams for me. You look back at some of these games against East Division opponents in which they lost this season. How about that Maryland game? They continued to give Maryland the football in a short field. You got to give the Terps a little bit of credit in forcing some of those turnovers as well. But turnovers are turnovers. And that maybe caused Michigan State to not be on the winning end of that football game, those short fields and the turnovers against Maryland at home earlier this season. And then, of course, you got to talk about this last week against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Everything's looking good. All right, Michigan State, maybe we're back on the tracks a little bit. And then special teams. There have been multiple special teams blunders for Michigan State so far this season. You go back to the punt coverage against Iowa, the difference in the game, a 70-yard punt return for Cooper DeJean. Once again, got to give credit to number 3 in black in that one as well. But you look at special teams blunders against Rutgers this past weekend. You go with a comfortable lead going into the fourth quarter. Special teams and turnovers, man, it reared its ugly head yet again. And now you're playing a team in the University of Michigan that is as disciplined as they come. And if you make stupid mistakes and if you have stupid turnovers in this game, they will take advantage, and you're going to end up in the Wolverine woodshed once again. The easy take, the easy video for me would to come on here and say, yep, Michigan's just going to run all over them. There's not a ton to talk about. Boa constrictor. Everybody loves the boa constrictor analogy. We'll reference that here later in this video. But I'm not going to take the easy way out, because I got to give Michigan State at least a fighting chance. What is going to give the Spartans a fighting chance against maybe the best team in college football right now? The first thing you got to do is limit the things that I just talked about for Michigan State. You got to limit the turnovers, and you got to limit the special teams mistakes. When we talk about turnovers, last week was kind of a step in the right direction. Caton Hauser seems to be a step in the right direction for Michigan State. 0 interceptions last week, although he didn't throw for the most yards in the world, 0 turnovers is still a big step in the right direction. I thought Katin Hauser looked pretty good. A lot of Sparty fans have identified this guy as the future of this program, a 4-star talented type of guy coming out of high school. I think you got to ride with Katin Hauser from here on out. I think, look, you gave Noah Kim a shot. I think he showed some things in flashes, but just too many turnovers for me. Another thing, it's a little bit twofold. You got to control the emotions. You know there's going to be big-time emotions coming out in this game, especially at home for Michigan State. You got to control your emotions in this one. But on the flip side, you also have to feed off the energy of the crowd, and you got to get that energy into the crowd early. It could be a big run. It could be a big play on defense. Whatever it is, you can't let Michigan just set the tone from the opening kickoff. You can't let them control things right away and put this game away early like they did on the road in a game like Nebraska, in a game like Minnesota. You need to kind of flip it in your favor, get the energy going a little bit in the stadium. Let's talk about this thing from the Michigan Wolverines point of view, because I think when you look at this from the Michigan defense standpoint, I think there's a general thing that Jesse Minter can do to really give Michigan State a whole lot of problems in this game. And the one general thing, and I'll branch off into details on it, is play near the line of scrimmage with almost all of your front seven. Because getting pressure on the quarterback and limiting Nathan Carter in that run game is going to be huge for Michigan to get up early, get up often, and get out of East Lansing with a big-time victory. When we talk about pressuring the quarterback, we know Michigan is very good at that. 18 sacks so far this season. You look at the other side, Michigan State, I mentioned at the top of the video. Statistically, this is not a terrible football team. This is a decent football team. It's just these turnovers and some of these mistakes have blown some of these games in the opposite direction that the Spartans really want them to go. They just have allowed 9 sacks on the season. So Michigan has double the amount of sacks that Michigan State has allowed this season. But when you look at this thing for the Wolverines, maybe load one side of the line of scrimmage, put a lot of stress on maybe some tackles, some running backs and pass protection, some tight ends, and really put a lot of stress because it's the depth that Michigan really plays with. And really when you start to wear down some of those positions on the other side of the coin, that is where Michigan really starts to excel in this thing. All right, let's talk about everybody's favorite analogy, the boa constrictor, right? It was kind of cool at first. Now everybody's using it, and it's a little less cool, but it is the perfect analogy. I want to say that. That's probably why everybody's going with it, because it is perfect, right? The grip just tightens, and you wear down the more the game goes on against the Wolverines. So everybody knows that Michigan plays like a boa constrictor. But maybe we need to start talking about how do you loosen the grip? How do you go the other way? Now, it's probably not going to happen in this game. Michigan State is probably not going to loosen the grip. But how do you loosen the grip? If Sparty is going to hang around, they're maybe going to need to do some things. First things first, you need to sustain drives. You need to get first downs. You need to keep the chains moving. Like, I look back to that Rutgers game where, hey, Rutgers got on the board first. It kind of opened a lot of people's eyes early in that game. But it was a big play, one play, kind of a short drive. Gavin Wimsatt finding Christian Dremel on a long touchdown pass. Michigan was still able to stay fairly fresh throughout that game despite that. You need to sustain longer drives. You need to sustain a run game. You need to keep Michigan's defense on the field. Now, they're able to rotate a lot of guys, and they're probably going to stay fresh no matter what happens. But if you want to loosen the grip just a little bit, you need to sustain longer drives. You need to keep this thing going down the field right now. That's the first thing that I really want to get at as well. And you need to keep the offense off the field. I think that's where Michigan really tightens their grip, is when the defense can stay fresh and the offense can consistently get out there without being on the sidelines for too long. That's where Michigan really starting to tighten their grip right now. Michigan's depth and staying fresh is such a key for the boa constrictor mentality. They have so much depth on this team, and a lot of these players in some of these blowouts, they've gotten experience in the third quarter. They've gotten experience for an entire fourth quarter as well. Another thing you need to do to try to loosen that grip a little bit is play good on defense on first downs. When Michigan is able to get chunk yards, 6 yards, 7 yards on first down, that really opens up so many things in their offensive playbook for Sherrone Moore right now. And getting tackles behind the line of scrimmage. And I know you get J.J. McCarthy into a 3rd and 14, 3rd and 15. Look, they can pick that up. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But getting them behind schedule just a little bit, I think, is another key in terms of loosening the grip. You're not going to get the grip off because Michigan is that dominant. Michigan is that good, especially in a matchup like this against Michigan State. But in terms of loosening the grip a little bit, getting tackles behind the line of scrimmage, playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage is such a big key. But the thing when we talk about this boa constrictor grip right now is that Michigan offensive line has been one of the best, if not the best in the country the last 2 years, and then going into this year as well. We talk about the defensive line. That's one of the best in all of college football this season. We can talk about what needs to be done in terms of loosening the grip, but to be honest with you, it's really hard to do. That's why they have this boa constrictor mentality, and that's why everybody uses that analogy, because when a boa constrictor wraps around you, it is impossible to break free. It is impossible to loosen the grip. Can Michigan State hang around with the Wolverines, or will this be another example of Michigan domination? Leave your thoughts, score predictions, everything like that in the comments below. I'm Big Ten Ted. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.